The moment Terrence walked in, I knew something was off. He never joined editorial meetings, claimed they were a waste of creative capital. But there he was, standing by the coffee table like a shark in a fish tank, wearing that stupid navy blazer with the sleeves rolled. Then he said it, right in front of everyone. No lead up, no warning. "Prince dead, Marlene. You're done." I blinked once. Thought I misheard. "Excuse me?" He didn't even flinch. "You're being replaced," he said, effective immediately. I looked around the room. 10 faces I'd mentored, trained, stayed late with. Not one made eye contact. Then Gavin walked in. He was 24, tops, wearing white sneakers, a bomber jacket, and a ring light hanging around his neck like a damn stethoscope, smirking like he just won something. Terrence clapped him on the back and said, "Meet the future of the Willow Ridge Times." That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a firing. It was a handoff. Nepotism in full blinding daylight. Before we go further, quick note. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. "I just put out the wildfire story last week," I said. My voice stayed calm, but I could feel the blood burning up my neck. "That piece tripled our ad clicks in 2 hours. Terrence didn't care. This isn't personal, it's just time for a new direction." "That wildfire story? The one that went regional, made the paper thousands?" I missed my daughter's play to finish that. Sat in a damn motel with spotty Wi-Fi, trying to get the formatting right for print before the deadline. Now I was getting tossed like expired milk. "You'll need to sign the separation paperwork by end of day," Terrence added, handing me a bland manila envelope. Gavin dropped into my old chair, already pulling up some flashy dashboard on his laptop. The kid didn't even know how to schedule a press release, but here he was, editor-in-chief because he could work TikTok. I stood there for another second, not frozen, just choosing not to move. One by one, people turned away. Lisa shuffled some papers. Jerome tapped his pen. Even Kelly, who cried in my office last year over her divorce, wouldn't look at me. I took the envelope, walked out of the room without a word. My heart was hammering, but my face stayed neutral. I'd learned that trick a long time ago. In the break room, I flipped through the contract while the vending machine hummed beside me. Mostly boilerplate, severance, non-disparagement clause. Then I saw it, buried halfway down in a section about third-party syndication. A clause I wrote myself over a decade ago, after a scare with a media buyout. If the editor-in-chief is removed without cause, all syndication rights revert. I folded the packet in half and slid it into my bag. Nobody in that room had spoken up for me. Fine. They just forgot who built the paper they're sitting in. I closed the office door behind me and locked it out of habit, even though I knew I wouldn't be coming back. The light above my desk flickered, like it always had. I'd asked maintenance to fix it 5 times. Gave up 3 years ago. I just worked around the shadow. That little strip of darkness in the corner of my space had seen everything. Me falling asleep in my chair at 2 a.m., me crying into stale vending machine pretzels the night my husband told me he was leaving, me editing Gavin's first op-ed back when he was an intern and didn't know the difference between its and its. My hands moved slower than I expected. I pulled the drawer open and stared at the mess. Notebooks, sticky notes, 2 lint-covered granola bars, a photo of my daughter in her high school graduation gown. I'd pinned it to the side of my monitor years ago. Forgot it was even there. I peeled it off the plastic slowly and dropped it into the box. Outside the glass, I caught movement. Gavin, strutting past like he owned the place, ring light swinging from his neck, holding his phone up and mumbling into it. Something about daily hits and content engagement. He paused in front of my door, glanced in through the window, and gave me this tight, fake smile. I didn't blink, just kept wrapping the cord around my old desk fan. He tapped the glass once and kept walking. At the coffee machine, I saw 2 reporters I'd trained from scratch whispering. One had her hand half covering her mouth, but I heard it anyway. They really canned her for that TikTok kid. The other one just shrugged. Neither looked my way. I took a deep breath, pushed the top flaps of the box down, and stood up. On my wall, there was a faded award from the local press association. Outstanding Investigative Series. I left it hanging. Let Gavin try and fill that empty spot. He couldn't dig a story if you handed him a shovel and GPS. I opened the door and walked through the newsroom for the last time. My heels hit the tile like gunshots. I didn't flinch, didn't look left or right. Let them feel the weight of their silence. Someone coughed. Another shifted in their chair. No one stopped me. At the badge scanner, I paused. Still green. Still active. I swiped anyway, just to hear the beep one last time. The lobby looked the same as it did 25 years ago. Same ratty chairs. Same chipped tile by the vending machine where I'd tripped once during a snowstorm. I pushed the door open with my elbow and stepped outside, my box pressed tight against my stomach. Hot air hit me like a slap. Middle of August in Missouri, humid enough to choke on. My palms were sweating, but I kept walking. Down the steps, across the lot, past Gavin's ridiculous lime green Jeep with the social media stickers on the back window. At my car, I dropped the box into the passenger seat and slammed the door harder than I meant to. I looked back once, just once. Through the windshield, I saw the newsroom door close behind me. The latch clicked into place, like a chapter ending. But this wasn't the last page, not even close. I didn't sleep much, but I still woke up at 6:30, muscle memory. 25 years of starting before the sun. The house was too quiet. I moved through the kitchen like I was still half at the office. Mug down, coffee grounds in. Filter snapped. The old machine groaned to life. I sat at the table, wrapped my hands around the mug, and stared out the window. That dead hydrangea bush I kept forgetting to rip out leaned sideways in the wind. My phone sat face down on the counter. I didn't touch it. At 9:03 a.m., it rang. Unknown number, Missouri area code. I let it buzz once more before I picked up. "This is Marlene." "Yeah, hi," a guy said, voice clipped. "I'm with KDR7 in St. Louis, regional affiliate. Our syndication feed just went dark." I didn't say anything. "We've tried reconnecting through the CMS," he continued, "but access is blocked. It says we need Marlene's credentials." I took a slow sip of coffee. It was lukewarm, bitter, perfect. "Well," I said, "I guess you'll need to take that up with Willow Ridge." "We did," he said. "Terrence told us it's a temporary tech delay, but nothing's syncing across the network. Nothing since 6 this morning." "Interesting," he paused. "Do you have a new access token you can send us?" "No," I said. "I don't." Another pause, then a quiet sigh. "Thought so." He hung up. I set the phone down and looked out the window again. The wind was stronger now. Bush was leaning harder. 2 minutes later, a notification popped up. Text from Denise C. Gavins in way over his head. No punctuation, just like her. Denise had been a copy editor since before I even started. The kind of woman who carried 3 red pens everywhere and could quote AP style in her sleep. She never texted. I replied with a single word. Not surprised. No one had read the clause. Not Terrence, not legal. Not the smug little upstart doing vlog teasers next to the coffee machine. They thought syndication just existed, like some magic faucet that poured out breaking news to affiliates from Illinois to Kentucky. But that faucet had a valve, and my name was on it. I'd buried that clause deep when we signed the first multi-region contract, called it a continuity safeguard back then. No one questioned it. No one thought I'd ever be removed without cause, until now. I pulled up the affiliate dashboard on my personal laptop. Status, offline. All feeds marked red. Every headline slot empty. Timestamp, 9:02 a.m. I took another sip of coffee, still bitter, still perfect. Let Terrence spin whatever excuse he wanted. Let Gavin slap some filter on a 30-second Instagram reel and call it journalism. The pipeline was dry, nothing going out, no ad slots, no traffic, no eyeballs. Another text lit up my screen. Text from Perry M. "You still have access?" They're panicking in Slack. Nobody knows where the archive files are stored. I didn't answer, just smiled a little. They thought cutting me out was a clean break. That Gavin could hold it together with hashtags and a ring light. That first phone call? That wasn't a glitch. That was the first domino. The whole damn row was about to fall. By noon, I'd already heard from 3 different affiliates. The Daily River in Evansville emailed asking why their homepage was stuck on yesterday's sports story. Their editor CC'd me, assuming I was still in charge. He found out real quick I wasn't. By 2 o'clock, the Post-Courier in Springfield pulled all Willow Ridge content from their site. Their legal team must have combed the contract and found the clause. That thing wasn't hidden behind legalese either. It was plain as day, if you bothered to look. At 3:15, I got looped into a forward by mistake. Some poor intern must have hit reply all. The email chain was a disaster. 20-something people inside Willow Ridge, scrambling like rats in a flood. Subject line, urgent, licensing error. Buried 3 threads down. Why is our license invalid? Why didn't legal catch this? Can someone confirm who actually owns the outbound content feed? I sat at my kitchen table with my feet up on a chair, picking at a muffin and reading every word. Then Gavin went live. I got the link through a tip from a friend at the Ridge Ledger who wrote, "You need to see this train wreck." He was standing in front of a green screen graphic of the Willow Ridge logo, blurry, stretched, awful lighting. Same ring light around his neck. Still didn't know how to frame his shot. Or pronounce syndication, apparently. "We're just having a little tech hiccup," he said, voice way too upbeat. Our content distribution stream is being, optimized for modern pipelines." I nearly choked on my muffin. He kept going. "We're innovating through disruption to, pivot our outreach metrics towards stronger audience interconnectivity." I hit pause. Couldn't take it. He sounded like a TED Talk that got rewritten by a chatbot on Ambien. 5 minutes later, the video was reposted with the caption, "When your cousin's startup goes under but he still wants to sound smart." Another version popped up with a side-by-side of Gavin and a confused golden retriever. Both had the same dumb expression. I didn't share it. Didn't need to. At 4:40, my phone buzzed again. Text from Nolan T. Ad Partners pulling out. They said breach of terms. He's blaming IT. Nolan had run our ad department for years. He hated drama. For him to text? That meant it was getting ugly. I just wrote back, "Read the contracts." Another message came in, this one from Elise, the photo editor. "This place feels hollow without you." Then, "Nobody knows who's in charge of anything." I looked at the screen for a second longer than I meant to. Elise used to be one of the louder ones at the coffee machine. I hadn't forgotten that. Still, she wasn't wrong. They'd gutted the leadership and filled it with hashtags. That works if you're running a travel blog, not if you're publishing breaking news in the Midwest. An email from our biggest local grocery chain hit next. They were yanking their 3-week ad run. Breach of contract. No valid license. I didn't gloat. I didn't cheer. I just sat in my kitchen, letting the cracks spread. This wasn't revenge. This was the system working exactly how I designed it. And it was just getting started. By morning, the chaos had officially hit screen share level. I was sitting at my kitchen counter, laptop open, when the invite came through. Someone on the inside had forwarded me the staff-wide Zoom link. Anonymous. No message. Just the link and a timestamp. 9 a.m. Mandatory. So I clicked. Terrence popped on screen first, hair slicked back like he'd dunked his head in nervous sweat. Behind him was that big office wall I'd picked the paint color for years ago. Cedar smoke, they called it. Looked more like dead mold in the Zoom lighting. "Good morning, everyone," he started. "I know it's been a tough few days, but I want to assure you, Willow Ridge is not in crisis." Right. And I was a food blogger. He kept going, throwing out buzzwords like alignment, brand repositioning, and long-term opportunity. Then Gavin took over. He pulled up a glossy deck like this was a pitch meeting for a fashion brand, not a newsroom hemorrhaging staff. Slide after slide of hashtags, TikTok analytics, engagement graphs with made-up acronyms. "We're pivoting to lifestyle content," he said. Like that was supposed to fix syndication contracts, failed ad placements, and reader trust all in one go. Our new verticals include sustainable fashion, petfluencers, and brunch culture. Someone on the call coughed. I could see faces going stiff, jaws locking. The mood was glass ready to shatter. Then came the kicker. Gavin smiled, actually smiled, and said, "To boost morale, we've launched a new series. Yesterday's spotlight was on longtime resident Clara DeWitt. We're calling it People of Willow Ridge. Very inspiring story." Silence. Then one voice. "That wasn't a profile. That was her obituary." I nearly spit out my tea. Camera grid lit up. One senior writer muted herself, but you could still hear the beginning of a "what the actual" before her mic cut. Another writer, a guy who'd been there 15 years, unmuted. "I'm out," he said. "Effective immediately." Then a second voice. "Same here." Terrence tried to jump in. "Let's take a breath, folks." But it was over. A third quit, then a fourth. One of them even screen-shared their resignation email mid-call. I sat back in my chair, arms crossed, watching it unfold like a live demolition. Afterward, I went downtown and slipped into this tiny cafe I used to write in before deadlines took over my life. Ordered chamomile tea, sat by the window, and pulled out my phone. Reddit was already 10 steps ahead. A post was climbing fast in our media fails. They replaced a seasoned editor with a YouTube reject. Now the paper's in freefall. One comment had a screenshot of Gavin's livestream from earlier that week. This man said content distribution and then tried to sell me a brunch article. Underneath, top comment. "She built that paper, and they canned her for this?" There were memes now. Gavin's face photoshopped onto a cereal box that read, "No grits, just hashtags." Another had him holding a selfie stick next to a burning newsroom. But the part that stuck with me, someone had uploaded a clip from the Zoom call. The second someone said, "That was her obituary," it cut to Gavin's face going pale, then the camera freezing mid-blink. The caption read, "Journalism died for this?" I took another sip of tea, phone buzzing in my hand. I didn't respond to any of it. Didn't post, didn't comment, didn't gloat. I just watched the paper I built crack open from the inside, one dumb pivot at a time. I was still at the cafe when the first crack went from surface to split. Email came in at 4:17 p.m. from a paralegal I remembered vaguely. Marcia, something or other. Subject line, urgent syndication review. Clause 14B. I tapped it open. Attached was a scanned PDF of the original licensing agreement I'd written up in my second year as editor-in-chief. The clause was highlighted in bright yellow. In the event that the editor-in-chief is removed without documented cause, all content licensing and syndication rights revert immediately to said editor-in-chief, effective the moment of termination. She didn't add a comment. Didn't need to. I sat back and let that line burn into the screen again. Effective the moment of termination. The clause I wrote while chugging gas station coffee in the middle of a merger scare had finally been read. The fuse was lit. 10 minutes later, a legal email thread leaked. Someone had blind copied the wrong party. That party forwarded it to a group of ex-staffers. One of them sent it straight to me, not even a subject line. Thread title, WRT licensing. Fallout. We've lost 17 content licenses. That clause invalidates the entire outbound syndication model. It's enforceable. It's airtight. Ad buyers are pulling 6-month contracts. This could be a multi-million-dollar breach. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. By 6, Terrence had called a hush-hush board meeting. No live stream, no internal memo. Just a locked conference room and a row of silent executives parking in back like it was a funeral. They must have thought I was bluffing. No, I was just patient. At 7:04 p.m., I got a new text. Unknown number, Chicago area code. Board member, off the record. Can we talk tonight? I didn't answer. Let the silence work for me. Instead, I opened Twitter. The top story in trending media was a clip from the Journal View, a syndicated political show. One of their lead anchors had gone off script during a panel and called Gavin a content clown who couldn't source a stat if you stapled it to his forehead. They rolled a snippet of Gavin quoting made-up figures about reader engagement velocity, whatever that meant. The host just blinked at him and said, "Is that a real metric?" He stuttered, smiled, tried to pivot, got cooked. 15 minutes after that aired, Gavin's Instagram went dark. Deleted. Vanished. Poof. No more rooftop selfies. No more stories about thought leadership. Just an error message. He was still tagged in every meme, though. One had him photoshopped next to a burning file cabinet with the caption, "Just uploaded this to the blockchain." I closed my phone and folded my arms on the table. It was quiet in the cafe, except for the occasional clink of dishes. The kid behind the counter was watching something on his phone with earbuds in, snorting every now and then. Another message buzzed in. Text from Denise C. They're spiraling. Whole floor smells like stress and microwave noodles. I tapped back. Let them spiral. This wasn't personal anymore. This was structural. They wanted content without the people who built it. They thought digital first meant experience last. They didn't realize I'd laid the foundation while they were still learning what a CMS was. And now the walls were cracking, loud, visible, impossible to ignore. The first print partner bailed at 9:12 the next morning. The Southland Beacon, a quiet but loyal client for nearly a decade, pulled out with a 2-sentence notice. No emotion, no explanation. An hour later, 3 more followed. The inbox looked like a funeral guestbook. Subject lines all the same. Termination of syndication agreement, effective immediately. By noon, the ad server was dry. The local car dealership that always ran that ugly banner with the inflatable gorilla? Gone. The hospital system. Pulled everything. I even heard the craft store chain backed out, and their entire customer base was grandmas and Pinterest addicts. No money meant no leverage. No leverage meant panic. Web traffic flatlined. Used to be the site ticked with movement. Midday clickers, evening rush. Now it looked like a ghost town. One live visitor. Probably someone refreshing in IT, praying the numbers were wrong. Then Gavin vanished. Nobody officially said he was gone, but someone texted me around 3 saying he hadn't been seen since Monday. He's working remotely, they were told. Classic move, translation, hiding. I imagined him sitting in some WeWork knockoff, still thinking a Canva deck and a half smile could undo structural failure. Meanwhile, inside the office, things got worse. Rumors started swirling that payroll might be delayed. Lisa from HR, who once cried in my office about losing her mom, messaged me. They said we'll know by Friday. That's not comforting. I didn't respond. I was sitting in the back booth of a quiet diner off Route 41, eating dry toast and eggs, when my phone rang. Unknown number. This time, it wasn't some junior tech from a partner site. It was a lawyer, one of Terrence's. Voice smooth like he practiced it in the mirror. We'd like to make a formal offer, he said. A competitive one. To buy back the syndication rights you currently hold. I looked at my plate, at the hard yolk cracking under my fork. I didn't bother asking how much. No, I said. He cleared his throat like he didn't hear me. Marlene, if I may? No, I repeated. I'm not interested. You don't get to buy back what you threw away. There was a long pause, then a tight little, understood. He hung up before I could slam the phone on him. I wasn't mad. I'd been mad already. Now I was just done playing their game. That night, an anonymous post went up on Twitter. Screenshot of the original Willow Ridge staff page. My name circled in red. Below it, Marlene didn't leave the paper. The paper left her. It caught fire. The replies were brutal. Hundreds of comments from old readers, former interns, even rival journalists. Everyone had a story. She edited my first article, made it better without making me feel stupid. She stayed until midnight to help me fact-check a piece I nearly tanked. She came to my graduation when my parents didn't. They remembered. More than Terrence did. More than Gavin ever could. One post showed a split screen. Me standing with the city mayor for a public records victory. Gavin standing next to a neon smoothie saying Big J Energy. I didn't retweet it. I didn't have to. By the time I went to bed, Bring Back Marlene was trending in 3 states. They were losing their grip. And I wasn't offering a rope. By the end of the week, I was on TV. And I didn't even have to show up. It started local. Channel 3 ran a segment titled Willow Ridge Shakeup Leaves Readers Wondering. They aired a 10-second clip of me leaving the newsroom with my box in hand. No sound, just slow motion, dramatic music, and a voiceover that said, after 25 years of building the Times from the ground up, Marlene Stroud was pushed out, and now the paper is unraveling. Then the nationals caught on. CNN picked it up first, then NBC, then one of those click-hungry digital outlets, ran the headline in bold caps. Small-town publisher ousts founder, loses control of media rights. They had the timeline, the walkout footage, the syndication clause, even a screenshot of Gavin's live stream where he called obituaries inspiring retrospectives. But what really made it explode was the meme. Gavin's face, that smug grin from his first day in my chair, next to a plunging line graph labeled subscriber count. Across the top in bold white font. I know journalism. I saw it everywhere. On Instagram, Reddit, Facebook groups for former journalists and aging editors who still read paper copies. Someone even printed it on a t-shirt and posted a selfie. I didn't share that either. Didn't have to. The internet was doing what I never could, dragging truth into the light. Then Terrence tried to fight back. He scheduled a press conference in the main hallway of the Times building, right in front of that stupid wall mural that said, "Bold stories, trusted voices." He showed up with a statement in hand, tie crooked, flanked by 2 PR people who looked like they hadn't slept in days. I watched the live stream from my kitchen table, same spot where I'd watched the dominoes fall. He cleared his throat and started rambling about transition challenges, editorial shifts, and emerging platforms. The usual corporate fluff. But the reporters weren't there for fluff. They'd smelled blood for days. Then came the question. A woman from Channel 8 raised her hand and asked loud and clear, "Is it true Marlene Stroud owns all your core content now?" He froze, mouth half open. No answer, no spin, just dead silence. The PR guy stepped forward like he was going to rescue him, but it was too late. The press saw the crack and rushed in. How much is the licensing loss worth? Why was the clause ignored? Who approved the new editor's hiring? Was Gavin's relation to you disclosed to the board? They piled on. Terrence wilted. I sat with my tea, watching it unfold in real time. Didn't smile, didn't laugh, just sat with it. Because that moment wasn't about revenge, it was exposure. All I ever wanted was to build something that told the truth. Something that meant something to the people who lived in this state, this town. I fought for local stories when everyone else was chasing clicks. I put staff before trend, truth before traffic. They tried to replace that with viral dances and recycled content. And now they were drowning in the mess they made. An hour after the conference ended, someone uploaded the clip of Terrence freezing at that question, paused right on his slack-jawed expression, then overlaid the audio from Gavin's old live stream. We're optimizing our distribution stream for modern innovation. It was hilarious. It was brutal. It was perfect. The press conference was the nail. Everything after that was just the dirt being shoveled in. Terrence resigned the next morning. No statement, no apology. Just a quiet internal memo that leaked within minutes. Subject line, Leadership Transition Announcement. I got a copy through a former ad rep who added, "You'll love this. He calls it a personal decision." Sure, Gavin was gone too. Not even a whisper, no farewell post, no LinkedIn update, just vanished. Like a bad software plugin uninstalled without notice. Someone texted me that his desk was still cluttered with ring lights and crumpled outlines for a coffee culture spotlight series. Whatever that meant. The building started emptying. The Times, once loud and stubborn, was reduced to a skeleton crew barely holding the lights on. The content slowed to a crawl, press releases rewritten with no voice, no guts, no spine. They even reran a gardening column from 2 years ago like nobody would notice. Former staff started posting on LinkedIn. One wrote, "The end of an era. Thank you, Marlene, for setting the standard." Another, "I learned more in 1 year under Marlene than in 5 years of school." They didn't tag me, but they didn't have to. I saw them all. Then the syndicate made it official. The email came through clean, legal, emotionless. Effective immediately, Marlene Stroud is reinstated as full content license holder for all previous regional contracts. Terms honored in full. Distribution rights restored. I read it twice, closed the laptop, and didn't go back. Not to the building, not to the title, not to the wreckage they'd turned it into. Instead, I made a few calls, sent a few messages. 3 weeks later, I stood inside a one-room office above a used bookstore on 8th and Halston. No glass walls, no fancy art, just a folding table, 2 refurbished iMacs, a coffee machine that wheezed like a sick cat, and 5 people who'd followed me there without hesitation. Kelly, Nolan, Elise, Perry, Denise, loyal, smart, fierce. I didn't need 50 people. I needed 5 who gave a damn. We weren't calling it a newspaper. We weren't calling it content. We were calling it what it was, reporting. Our first story was about a school board cover-up no one else was willing to touch. Nolan dug into the records, Elise got the photos, and I worked the copy until it hit like a punch to the ribs. It went live on our own site. No syndicate, no middleman, no boardroom full of fools with stock options and podcast streams. Just us. That first night, I stayed late alone. The office was quiet. No hum of a newsroom, no hallway whispers. Just the steady clicking of keys and the smell of burnt coffee. I looked around the room. Scuffed floors, peeling paint, drafty window, and every single square foot of it was mine. Monday morning, I stood on a step stool in jeans and an old t-shirt, hammer in hand, putting up the new sign above our door. Stroud Media Syndicate. Wooden, unvarnished, real, just like us. Nolan held the bottom steady while Denise called out, "Little to the left." I adjusted it half an inch, slammed in the last nail, and stepped down. It wasn't flashy. It didn't need to be. I went inside and turned on the lights. The room smelled like fresh paint and burnt toast. Perry was already at his desk, typing with his headphones in, coffee cup shaking next to his elbow. By 9:30, we were in it. Kelly was on the phone with a whistleblower. Elise had 2 draft layouts up side by side. Denise was muttering about a badly formatted press release, like it had personally insulted her. It felt right. At 11:02, my phone rang. I glanced at the number, Manhattan area code. No contact saved. I answered anyway. "This is Marlene." The voice was smooth, professional. "Conglomerate rep, one of the big ones. We've been following your work. Your reputation speaks for itself," he said. "We'd like to bring you on as an executive advisor. Flexible projects, integrity first focus, full independence." I didn't say yes right away. I asked questions. I made demands. And I listened for the part where they'd try to soften the truth. They didn't, so I said, "All right, I'll do it. But I choose the projects. No clickbait, no fluff, nothing that wastes people's time." "Understood." I hung up, set the phone down, and walked to the back of the office. Opened the supply drawer. Buried in the corner under a half-used roll of duct tape and a box of expired pens was the gold watch Terrence gave me on the paper's 20th anniversary. Engraved on the back, "Thanks for your service." I didn't wear it, never had. But I hadn't thrown it away either. I shut the drawer and left it there. Out in the world, the media cycle kept churning. Gavin's name popped up now and then. A case study, a meme, a punchline. But it faded like all bad trends do. He was a blip. But me? I lingered. Not in the spotlight. Not with noise. Just in the cracks. In the inboxes of publishers who still gave a damn. In classrooms where professors used my story to teach what not to do when running a paper. I didn't need to shout. I just kept doing the work. Quietly, the power had shifted. Back where it belonged. Back to me.